Greetings everyone, welcome back. This week I am following up the last episode's KATAMARI DAMACY painting with something special. Before we get into it, I need to add something. There we go. Now that I'm in proper king mode, we're following it up with this right here. Decided to make a fun little KATAMARI DAMACY sculpture with the little prince and his clump ball, and I've documented the whole process. I'm gonna take you through it. We're gonna have some fun with this one. Let's go. So when I started off, I originally was just gonna use items around the house and quickly realized I didn't have that many toys. So I ordered a couple of just fun little dollhouse and wooden toys for kids off Amazon. Just something small, simple shapes and lots of colors, you know, that would be reminiscent of what's featured in the video game. Pretty much just use basic tools, cutting board, razors, hot glue guns. Don't have a whole lot of tools or workshop here, so just the basics. To begin building out the clump ball, I worked with a few things, but ended up using a soft toy because it's just a little easier for the wooden objects and plastic objects to glue onto it. And from there, it was just pretty much a matter of, you know, using these found objects and gluing them in a way that looks, you know, somewhat natural, and obviously being aware of color so you don't have too many colors butted up against one another. So anywhere I could use some different toys of mine or my girlfriend's toys, just finding ways to, you know, pop color and shape and texture into this clump ball. Those little dollhouse items were a lot of fun, actually. Very cute, soft shapes, and really add quite a bit to the character of this diorama. You know, shaping it, looking at it, trying to make it as round as possible. You know, the beauty of the game is that it's obviously not a round ball, so you can kind of just do whatever you want and it's gonna be okay. So I was pretty satisfied at this point, and it was time to begin making the little prince. So I had a few of those little wooden trees left over, and I thought, hey, you know, there's these tapered cones. Thought about some Lego pieces I had might make for good limbs. So I started by, you know, dremeling off a few of the little people and tree bits. I thought, you know, this looks like a good piece. This might work. Improvise it a bit. Trying to, you know, work with what I had. Try not to order any new parts. And the base for his legs there, that's what I'm making here. You know, that was probably the most difficult part to cut because it was so tiny. But this tree limb here beginning to shape the prince's head, and notching in on the taper part to allow the head to fit in. Wanted to give him kind of like a cute little tilt to his head, so he's kind of, you know, a little bit of personality comes through while the idea of him standing next to the clump ball. But after I did all that, I found, you know what, this one from this tree actually makes for a cuter silhouette. So I ditched the other one and started dremeling away on this this other alternate body option, which I think was a much cuter base. And then at this time I was basically like, started thinking about what is this diorama gonna be located on, or what's it gonna be built on. So I thought I'm gonna need some sort of way to make the ball stand up. I remembered I had a wooden dowel rod in the garage, and this worked perfectly. So the idea too is like I had a bunch of just stuff lying around. So I'm really trying to improvise with what I have. And this pink foam, I thought was like, hey, I don't have, you know, pieces of wood or anything lying around. This pink foam will work quite nicely. So it was really just like, okay, maybe I can inset this stand. And because I wasn't really planning this out, I was really truly improvising it. I thought, okay, well, I'll set this in, keep it flush. Now, what can I do to cover this? That's when I remembered, hey, we've got a little strip of Astro Turf in the front lawn. So cutting this off, I thought it might be a great, not only a texture, but a great way to set off the colors of the clump ball. So a fun little bit of, you know, earthy green grass, and like the idea of this little prince rolling this colorful ball. That's how this came about. I think if I had planned it, I wouldn't have ever initially thought about Astro Turf or anything like that. I probably would have just painted it some other texture. But yeah, so all this glued onto the base nicely. Has a very fun and playful texture to it. So while I'm gluing this surface down, I had an idea I wanted to explore, so I left half of the top unglued. The idea was to have the clump ball picking up part of the Astro Turf, so it's actually ripping the ground up. But, you know, I decided to drop this idea because I just felt like it was going to be a little too much at the end of the day. So just leave the grass intact and let the ball sit on top of it. So next was to mark out where I was going to be drilling next. The sites for the little antenna, the arms, and the legs. The little Lego pieces actually turned out to be quite a cool little solve for the limbs. So just plucking the little plastic pieces out, that would you know, be for the antenna and the limbs. This was probably where I was the most nervous, because I knew I had to drill into these pieces, and you only have one chance to get it right. So I didn't want to screw it up too bad, because I didn't have any spare parts to start over with. Little neck area where a little dowel rod will go in and set into the neck for a little extra stability. And snipping these Lego pieces to begin for testing out this antenna for the prince's head and the arms. I think it was around here where I started to see trying to be accurate to the prince, because he has like a little round base where the legs come out. I thought, you know what, ditch that base, because proportionally it's going to be so much cuter to just drill into the base and stick the legs directly in here instead of having that round. And it was instantly like, oh yeah, this is way better. So just using some toothpicks to help as a dowel rod to set the head on right before gluing. So now when it came time to glue the little prince together, it was pretty fun. Seeing it finally, everything come together. And honestly, I've been wanting to have some sort of reason to get back to more sculptural or diorama work to include on this channel. And after the painting last episode, I had so much fun with that. I thought this is a nice, fun return to prototyping that I'm used to having worked in the toy industry. So it was a fun little diorama to dive into. Nice, playful, colorful, just exactly kind of like the sort of stuff I like to make. Using a Q-tip to just sort of help sop up any excess glue. I had decided to glue those Lego pieces actually onto that base, because it was just easier to have the little legs sticking up already and then insert them into the body rather than trying to go the opposite way around. It was just so much easier to glue them onto the body and then glue these into the base. So yeah, it just helped get the angle and everything right, and I didn't have to deal with any headaches later on. So now came time to start painting. Just used kind of basic junky acrylics that I had around the house. And, you know, there's some brush strokes, not the best, but at the same time, it's handcrafted, and I think it's a cute little, just, you know, it feels real. So I don't mind it so much. Actually, because the quality of these acrylics, there was a happy accident in that it made that the ridge around the face kind of puffy, almost like a 3D effect. So that was great. I do apologize, this is a little out of focus here, but it's a little hard when you're trying to paint and look at the camera. A lot of fun. I haven't had the opportunity to build or paint any miniatures lately, so I thought this would be a great time to do this on the channel. Oh yeah, and if you see the antenna there, I accidentally dropped him and snapped off, so it's pretty delicate. Had to glue it back in place a couple times. Now it was time to sort of add finishing touches to the diorama and the base and make it feel a little more presentable. And so painting the base black and then needing some way to kind of keep it from slipping off the shelf. And I thought of these 3M little sticky tacky duds here. It helps it stay in place and sets it off the ground a little bit, so it creates this hovering appearance. Next, this was the area that I left unglued, and it came in pretty handy because I was like, hey, you know what? I can use some other Lego pieces, set this in here, and have him sort of setting on top of the grass, but sort of hidden at the same time, so you can't see where he's connected. And it still allows me to move freely. So I just kind of marked it in place, and once I set that Lego piece in there and just glue the top down. So that Lego piece is set in there, it can't come out, but it can rotate. So I have a little more option to sort of rotate the figure around however I like. I think this ended up being a pretty good solve for how to attach him to a flexible base. Having a secure point to attach him to really worked out well. And around this time I thought, you know what, sort of the silhouette of the ball is bothering me a bit. It's a little tapered, so got a few more toys. Nice pop of yellow with this soft rubber ducky. It's a nice material difference to all the hard plastic. And this little plastic cat toy fan, gluing this in place to add a little extra color and help shape the ball out. So at this point, it's time for final assembly and getting the ball sort of, you have a lot of option here. I can rotate it however I want, and then setting the prints in place just snaps in, and there you have it. Fun little diorama, the little prints and his clump ball. And that does it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you had as much fun with this one as I did. Please let me know what you thought of the little prince and his Katamari ball sculpture. And if you'd like to check out the ink painting, I'll toss up a link right here. Please do so and let me know what you thought. See you next time.